Hi, we're Group A, and we are doing our project on the International School of Uganda.
So as an introduction, our tour was of the International School of Uganda, and some of the information that we collected from the tour and that we will be discussing in our presentation include the geography of the school, the culture and the demographic composition of the school, student characteristics and background, beliefs and values promoted by the school, the tuition, the physical and classroom environments, educational resources that are available, transportation and safety, community members and recreational resources and activities, and lastly, the health issues impacting the school. And we would also like to mention that almost all the pictures that are in this presentation are from this window tour.
So the International School of Uganda is located in the capital city of Uganda, Kampala. It's actually on the outskirts of Kampala in a neighborhood called Lubowa. The school's a not-for-profit educational day school. It was established in 1967, and it's the oldest international school in Uganda. It is a 33-acre campus, and the grounds are also home to a variety of indigenous birds and monkeys, and the school also keeps domesticated animals like chickens and rabbits. The U.S. Embassy was the driver in starting the school back in 1967. American diplomats that were stationed there wanted quality education for their children, and so they started the International School of Uganda way back in 1967. Due to this history and the large amounts of money that the United States government donates to the school every year, the board of directors of the school has two American Embassy board members appointed by the American ambassador. Can you pause it?
Sure.
Uganda was a British protectorate from 1894 until 1962. And so Ugandan culture has a lot of British culture sort of woven into the larger fabric of the country. And so we see this at ISU. They have biannual grade level teas for the students and the parents at the school, mostly for younger, the primary years program. And then we also see like some African cultural practices, such as not wearing shoes indoors. So in the picture all the way on the right, you'll see outside the classroom, there's a whole bunch of shoes just lined up against the wall, and that's really common. We saw that all through the school when we did the tour. And then here we have a visual representation of all of the different countries that are represented at the school. There's over 50 students from over 50 countries enrolled right now.
So I'm going to discuss the ISU demographics, and there's about 500 students represented by over 60 different nations. The students' ages range from 3 to 19 years of age. And for the faculty, there's about 62 teachers, mostly from Europe, North America, South America, and Africa. ISU is the only school in Uganda that offers the International Baccalaureate program. They have the primary years, the middle years, and diploma, which is basically like a elementary, a middle school, and a high school. And the International Baccalaureate is across the international universities. It's a set curriculum that the kids can move from international university and be able to be in the same sort of curriculum. Here is a depiction of a graph of the diversity of faculty as well as the the students here and the countries that they're from. So most of these students come from wealthy families, either diplomatic families, wealthy Ugandan, wealthy Indian families, missionaries, and NGO families. So it's an expensive school, so I don't think that the everyday Ugandan has the means to attend.
So most of the students that attend ISU are what's called a TCK, or third culture kid. Third culture kids are children who don't identify with their passport culture or where they were born or where their parents come from, but they also don't totally identify with their host country culture either. TCKs experience transient lifestyles due to their parents' career choices. A lot of them move every 2 to 4 years, and so they're really good at making new friends, but part of that lifestyle can lead to struggles with making meaningful relationships. They can also have anxiety, depression, isolation. All of these things are normal in the majority of the kids that attend ISU.
So the beliefs and values for ISU is that, well, they're not specifically a religious school, so they're non-religious. And I did notice that, the student body practices a variety of different religions, including Christianity and Islam and Hindu. And they do observe most of the major holidays across the different religions. And it's accredited through Middle States Association of Colleges and Schools in the U.S. and Council of International Schools, and they place a really high emphasis on the academics, and they have a pretty great record at 100% pass rate of their IB diploma program. They also value sports, and they encourage students to be involved in sports or other extracurricular activities that they have, such as I saw that they do also provide choir. And aside from a rigorous educational program, they also are very competitive in their sports, and their teachers must also go through and be authorized to teach the program. I also wanted to mention that they are able to compete with other international schools, as well as the local Ugandan surrounding schools. So as I mentioned before, it costs quite, it's quite expensive to attend ISU, but most of the families that do attend, the students who do attend, their families' jobs usually pay for the tuition. ISU does, however, offer some scholarships. I saw there was a needs-based, there is a scholarship for a child who observed a lot of leadership skills, but I didn't see too many scholarships that had been offered.
For the quality of the physical environment at ISU, the first thing that was noted was that the campus is surrounded by lush green lawns, trees, hills, and there are a lot of animals on the campus, including monkeys and domesticated animals like chickens, rabbits, and tortoises. And the climate is around 70 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. And there are spring and fall rainy seasons. The air quality is poor, which poses a health issue that we'll discuss later, but ISU is now monitoring the air quality using the app called Air Visual. There are steep hillsides which are not accessible for physically disabled students, parents, or teachers. As for the classroom environment, the classrooms are modern and they include whiteboards, smart boards, and for the PYP, the lower levels, they use classroom iPads, and then for MYP and SYP students, they are required to purchase a Mac laptop for use at school daily. In all of the classrooms, there are desks and tables utilized.
So ISU has quite a few educational resources available to its students. They have 4 libraries, which includes an online database. The database includes 7 subscriptions to other online databases, and the library contains more than 24,000 titles in print, 500 audiovisual items, 60 periodical subscriptions, and there are 32 student accessible computers with internet access. But as we stated earlier, the students are required to purchase Apple computers, but those are available to the students. There is also supplemental education, especially for the DP students, the higher level students. There's university counseling, SAT preparation, and for all students, there is social and emotional counseling available to them. As Jennifer explained, there is a lot of stress with coming to a new environment and being, a third
culture.
Third culture. I almost said third country. Third culture kid, and so these resources are available to the students on campus, and they address some of the social transitions, the academic transitions, as well as emotional counseling. And then there are some learning support services for students with learning disabilities. Is this still me?
I
okay.
think so.
So transportation and safety, most students utilize the buses that are provided by the school, but there is an additional cost. It is $1,800 per student, and other students are driven to school by their parents or by hired drivers. The buses do have multiple departures to allow students to participate in after-school activities. The schools depart ISU at 3:14, 4:15 p.m. and 5:15. And there are no sidewalks in the neighborhood of the school. Roads are in despair, so it is hard to get to and from the school. There are many potholes and open drainage ditches. So ISU compound is surrounded by a 10-foot concrete wall that is topped with razor wire. It's required to kind of keep the safety of the students inside, and all entrances are manned by security and or armed police. And in order to enter the school, parents and caregivers must swipe an ID card, and children use a fingerprint scanner that is manned at the gate.
So the ISU community members, which consist of the families of the students who attend, the staff, faculty, and the campus gives members of the community access to lots of recreational resources that are not easily accessible in Kampala. So even friends of these students' families can come if they go in with their access. And the PTA at ISU is extremely active and plans a lot of their extracurricular and fundraising activities, such as this mud run that they had and different social events for the parents to socialize as well as the students. Social capital assets resources of ISU, they have a weekly email newsletter. They have the PTA, which everybody is, the parents and faculty are enrolled automatically. And the board of directors is a group of 10 members, 2 elected, appointed by the U.S. ambassador, and 8 of them are elected by the parents. There is also an annual general meeting that the head of school and the board chair gather data, and they do a report of the school's greatest achievements and challenges and what they want to do to improve from the previous year and going into the future to the next school year.
So as we kind of mentioned earlier, there are a lot of recreational activities at ISU. There is a strong physical education department with a focus on competitive sports, as Amanda mentioned earlier. Some of the activities that are available include volleyball, basketball, football, track, swimming, rugby. And then there's also band, choir, dance, and drama, as well as STEM. So there is a focus on competitive sports, but also academic excellence and creativity. The access to recreational facilities on the campus is available to the ISU students and their families, to faculty and guests, as long as they come with one of the students or students' family members. And then the facilities include 2 football pitches, half an Olympic-sized pool, 1 children's pool, a competitive track, and a full gymnasium. So all grades have age-appropriate play structures in their grade level area. After-school activity programs are robust and include a lot of the sports that I mentioned. Some also include cooking and inline skating, as well as martial arts. And most of the after-school activities are free to students. And as I believe Amanda mentioned earlier, teachers are required by contract to lead at least one of the after-school activities per year. And parents may volunteer to run after-school activities as well.
So some of the theorized health issues of ISU include mental health issues, which affect especially the third culture kids whose transient lives can lead to anxiety or poor adaptation to their new environment. Another health issue is air quality, which is generally poor in Kampala. So ISU monitors air quality and reports the results, as I mentioned previously. Also, the food safety and sanitation is a big concern because there's a very small kitchen with limited counter space, and the refrigeration can lead to poor food preparation practices, which can result in foodborne illness for students and teachers and everyone else.
Some of the other theorized health issues of ISU also include campus access for disabled students and parents as well. There's a lot of stairs, as we saw in the windshield tour. There are some ramps, but they're mostly in the center of the campus. Campus safety, as we saw, is also an issue. There are some areas that are just not well maintained or cleaned out, and they pose a safety hazard to students, especially the younger students. And lastly, one of the biggest concerns that we had as a group for this community is the recreational drug use in the area. Many of the DP students hire local taxi drivers, known as boda boda drivers, to purchase marijuana or even prescription medication or alcohol from the pharmacies and stores and bring them back to the students on campus. So this is something that we find to be a big public health concern. And these are our references.